Hi everyone, Alex Schuyler here from Sucky to Soulful, and today on my Into You View series, I'm speaking with Robert Kandarjian, medical intuitive extraordinaire, chiropractor who's been practicing for the past 30 years, and author of 3 books, Sacred Intentions, Life and Afterlife, and The Masculine Heart. So welcome, Robert Kandarjian, and thank you for being here today. And this week's topic is stuck. Sucky thoughts undoing cosmos's kisses. And I'm speaking with Robert today because he has been a great spiritual guide for me and someone who I respect a lot as a person in the field of helping all of us to raise our vibration and to do what we're supposed to do here on planet Earth, to fill our life purpose. So, Robert, if you could speak to us a little bit about your work and how that, how it can apply to helping us get unstuck when we become stuck.
I like your title, Stuck. What you're saying there is that you get unstuck in order to enjoy the kisses from the cosmos, right? So
Yes.
That's what we want to do, right?
Yeah.
But the thoughts is what prevents us from getting, from experiencing the cosmic kisses, to use your acronym. So we'll talk about that. How do we embrace the cosmic kisses? And of course, in order to do that, we have to kind of get ourselves unstuck from our negative thoughts. So I've been practicing 30 years. I started as a chiropractor, eventually moved into spiritual healing, hands-on healing, energy healing, and I do a combination. And I love talking about the subject of mind-body because we really can't experience good health unless our thoughts are more positive and more optimistic and not so stuck, right?
Yep, definitely. I'm with you. Keep going.
Keep going? Okay. All right, I'll just keep going unless you want to stop me and ask questions, all right?
Yeah.
I think what's really... I'm just taking some notes as I'm speaking, so I may look down once in a while.
Okay.
I think what's really important about getting unstuck is to change our thoughts.
Right.
When we change our thoughts, our emotions become more free, and of course what we manifest in the world and what presents itself in the physical world becomes more healthy and more enjoyable. Thoughts really control a lot, more than most people imagine. Pessimism is really a terrible place to live because it just creates a gray cloud and prevents things from moving forward. It's like being in quicksand. So how do we go into thoughts that are more positive? A number of ways. I mean, of course, the most important one is community. We need to be around people who are positive, who are healthy, who are willing to look at their feelings and emotions and process them, not live in blame or victimhood, and who are proactive about doing things that bring their life into more joy and clarity. So community is really important. So if we are around people who are very pessimistic, that's going to bring us down. So we must be around people who are optimistic and accountable. Accountable is really important because if we're around people who are not accountable, who do things but who do things that are not healthy or that are not positive, don't apologize for it, are not accountable for it, that's a relationship that's going to bring us down and bring us into more pessimism. So who we hang around with is crucial in order to get unstuck. And how do we know who we should be hanging around with? I think deep inside in our hearts, we know who's good for us. And we just have to trust that instinct and that intuition, and we'll know who is the right person that we should be with as friends or as mates and as work partners. So that's the community piece in order to get unstuck. The second piece that I feel is really important is the physical piece. By the physical piece, what I mean is we must be physically healthy. if we're physically run down and we're eating a poor diet, we are not moving our bodies, we are not getting some fresh air, we will feel stuck. So I can't speak enough about that, but I feel like the audience, the audience, already know those things, because there's so much information out there about better eating and better living with our bodies regarding movement and exercise and diet. And the third piece is, and we can certainly, by the way, we can certainly expand on that physical piece another day if the audience wants to. We can talk about, how do we but how do we maintain our bodies in a healthy
status quo.
The status quo of health.
Yeah.
So that we can kind of move through this planet without feeling stuck in the body. Because if we feel stuck in the body, we're not. Our pessimism will eventually kick in. Okay, the third piece is what I call TGIF. TGIF for me stands for Trusting God in Full. And this is the spiritual piece, and it's very difficult to remain unstuck if we don't have a connection to a higher purpose, to a higher divine force.
Robert, can you do something for me?
Sure.
Can you give me a definition of what higher purpose means? People are always throwing that term around.
Yeah.
And it's a very generalized term that I don't think people give enough thought to what does it really mean to fulfill your higher purpose? And why is something higher than something else? Like, why isn't what I'm doing now my higher purpose? Why is it?
Right.
If you could just explain the difference between, or if you just could explain what you mean by higher purpose.
Yeah. Let's try.
Okay.
Okay. When we're born, when you look at a baby, when you look at a child that is still in its purity, that it's still in its essence, that child moves in the world without feeling conflicted. It knows what it wants to do and how it wants to do it. So it's really living from that child is living from his and her soulful place. Okay, but as we grow older, and the forces of environment and culture come in, it's very hard for us to stay in that soulful place. We're more in what I call a personality consciousness.
Head consciousness.
We're developing our personality. We're making decisions from our personality that are colored and shaped by culture, parents, and traditions. So we may not always be in our soulful place. But when we are in our soulful place, we already know what our purpose is. We already know there's a divine force that's guiding us and that's helping us and comforting us. But when we move into the personality, we lose that connection. So the divine, that's the best way I can explain it. That's what works for me. The divine purpose piece has a lot to do with living from the soulful character in us rather than the personality. That's really a reflection of the culture, and let's face it, culture, especially in the West, has become very consumer, and therefore it's very hard to stay in that soulful divine purpose when we are living in a consumer culture that keeps telling us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough or rich enough or whatever those enoughs are. So in order to get unstuck, we have to really stay in that divine purpose. I hope that's helpful. Actually, this is a subject we can talk about another hour.
Yeah.
Piece of divine purpose and divine connection, and what I like to talk about is what are the forces that disconnect us. That's a very great topic to consider. What are the forces that connect us from that soulful essence of who we are, and bring in this less than soulful, more of a personality, a character development that is looking to fit in, that is looking to compete or succeed in a world that defines success in some very odd terms.
Yep. Now, would you say then that being stuck is a form of disconnection from that TGIF that you were just talking about, trusting God in full?
Yeah, I do. I mean, being stuck is, from a spiritual / cultural place, being stuck means being stuck in the cultural norm, in the cultural values. Because the soulful values are usually different than cultural values. But, as we're growing up, we try to fit into the cultural values through our teachers, parents, so on. Can you come back to your question again?
Yeah, I was just saying that, so being stuck is where we're stuck, is when we're disconnected. When we're connected to our, whatever those connections are. And you mentioned you have 4 different ways that you feel that people can connect to this trusting God in full concept. What are those 4 ways? Can you share that with us?
Did I say 4?
I think you said 4.
Oh.
I'm not sure. Was it 3? 4?
Okay. Yeah, all right. Let's see how many come up.
Go for 5.
No, I think I had said 3.
Go for it. 3 is fine. I'll take 1. Just give me 1.
Going back, what I was saying was that when community was important, our physical health is important, and our spiritual connection is important.
TGIF.
Yeah, in order to remain unstuck. Now, trusting God in full, what are ways that we can really connect to that divine inspiration of our soulful essence? I think silence. Okay, so if we can number some things now, okay? Silence. We have to silence the chattering mind. We live in a culture where the mind is chattering most of the time, and we have to silence it through walks in nature, through meditation, through sitting in a temple or a church or somewhere quiet. So silent. We can't really hear our soul if the mind is always chattering. If we say our soul is really the reflection of who God is, then we can't really hear it. We can't experience it if the mind is always chattering with fear, with ambition, with anxiety. So silence is 1. 2, I would say nature. The more we are in nature, the more we can connect. We have to move away from the buildings and the steel and the glass and the wood and kind of the city life that we live in, and we have to make time for nature. 3, I really think movement, body movement, connects us to who we are. At least it helps. And you can see this in children. It's like children will sit around and they'll play around in a room or outdoors for a while, but eventually, sooner or later, they need to jump, they need to move. And that movement actually moves the old stuck energy and brings them into a new place. So movement is crucial to move to that connection.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the schools have labeled that as ADD.
Sometimes I wonder if it's the children who are ADD or the culture who's ADD.
Well, the culture. I was just talking to my son, I was telling him, when people... our whole culture is people are doing 5 things at the same time. If you open up a computer, you have 5 windows open, But it was, so anyway, I was just... Right. Movement is important, and I think our cultures tried to stifle that as well. Sitting still.
We don't have enough gym class. I don't know. I haven't really been in touch with the school system lately, but I understand that gym hours are getting less and less, and so anyway, we need to really implement movement. For the boys and the girls, and certainly for ourselves. And another piece is prayer. Prayer is really powerful. people talk about meditation and prayer. I'll give you my experience of those two and the differences. To me, prayer is more an experience where we are communicating, we are asking, we're in asking mode.
Right.
And in meditation, we're really quiet and we are not asking, we are receiving.
Right.
So it's important to make that distinction. But they're both important. And of course, trusting our intuition. Okay, so let's come to the decision-making process, because that's really important when it comes to the subject of being stuck and being unstuck. Okay, how do we get on? I mean, in order to get unstuck, we have to make better decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to make better decisions, we have to get out of the personality that carries the anxieties and the fears and the false ambitions, and move into the soul. So when we go to that soulful place of who we are, the decisions become more clear. And when we make the right decisions, we have a happier life. I always say happiness is making good decisions, So how do we go to that soulful place? I think it goes back to that meditative state, sitting with nature, sitting with a pet. Sometimes, believe it or not, hanging out with certain animals, with our pets, or can actually bring us to that soulful place. Or going to your favorite lake, or doing your favorite sport, or singing a song that you love. It's like those things can always bring us to that soulful place.
Soulful place.
And when we're in that soulful place, we are in that TGIF state. We trust God in full, and we make decisions that are effective.
Great.
Because they're coming from the soul.
I love that.
Good.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, Robert, tell people how they can find you if they're interested in working with you or reading your books.
I have a website. It's drrobertheels.com.
Wait, say it again, because I think I stepped over when you were speaking. So let me finish, and then you go ahead. Okay, go.
Okay. To find me, you can go to my website, drrobertheels.com. drrobertheels.com.
Awesome.
And I'm on New Jersey.
And your books are on Amazon, I think you mentioned to me before?
Yeah, my books are on Amazon. I have 3 books. I wrote a book. My last book was about men and how, actually, it kind of connects to this topic, how consumer culture, we focus so much on, the reason people are wounded and the reason they are dysfunctional is because they come from families that have been troubled or dysfunctional. And of course, there's truth to that, no doubt. But we don't focus enough about how culture is dysfunctional, and how consumer culture creates dysfunctional values, and how that breaks the hearts of little boys and little girls. And so my book was about how the hearts of boys get broken in a consumer culture where success is defined in a very unhealthy and chaotic, dysfunctional way. So that was my last book, The Masculine Heart.
Yeah, the book was when I read it, it was very eye-opening for me, because I guess as a woman, you're always dealing with a lot of female issues, and sometimes we lose sight that men have their issues too, and that they've been wounded as well. We come from this culture where women have been wounded, and we're the ones that need to, help ourselves get empowered, and we forget that men have been as victimized by certain things that we have as well. So I found the book very enlightening, and it just kind of made me become a little bit more compassionate towards, the male situation as well.
Yes. And the advantage that women have is that they have clubs, they have sisterhood. They connect with each other. We men have experienced that injury and that wounding through family, perhaps, and also certainly through culture. And we don't really have that brotherhood. We don't have that club where we go to and receive comfort or give comfort or receive mentorship. And women do that fairly well. At a young age, they find their mentors, and it could be the teacher, it could be the aunt or the grandmother, or so they find mentors and they go and they reveal themselves. And because we men don't do that, because for reasons we won't go into, we suffer more, and we suffer more. Yeah.
Well, Robert Kandarjian, thank you so much for the talk today, the Into You view. And remember, everybody, you can find Robert at www.drrobertheals.com.
Right.
All right, everybody, this is Allie Schuyler from Sucky to Soulful signing out. Robert, thank you so much for being here today. Have a great one. Namaste.
Bless the kids.
Okay, thank you.